I've had things in the past that I misidentified, specifically when it comes to issues within the roots or within the soil. And one in particular for me that was detrimental, that almost ruined me, was winged root aphids. These little shits were in my soil, and I didn't even know this was a problem. I thought it was a pH issue. I thought it was every possible issue because my plants were yellowing and having all the signs of deficiencies. So I'm like, there's a lockout. It's pH problems. It's, maybe toxicities. I don't know what the hell it was. So then I brought some leaves into the grow store at the time to the homie Timmy. This is where I met Trey actually at the time, was GH Hydro. And there was basically the same thing, the confusion, like a forum. This person says this person says this person says this. Then my buddy's like, what about your soil? Have you checked your soil? Like, you moved your fingers around in there? Anything crawling? I was like, I didn't at all look at it like that. I thought it looks like pH, 100%. Sure as hell, I go and I just move a little bit and these things start flying out. And I thought they were gnats immediately. So I used Drench thinking I was killing them. And instead I had them thrive a little bit more. They were actually winged root aphids and they loved it. And they actually did better. So it was really tough. I thought I was going to quit for the longest time, man. It was in the soil that I was purchasing. That's what sucked. It was local soil. And every time I purchased it, I was adding it back in the garden. So I ended up getting something that was not from my doing per se, but getting rid of it was something I had to learn. So I ended up getting diatomaceous earth at the time, the DE, and I put that on, and it was a mess doing it. Yeah, it sucked, but these little winged shits had nowhere to go. When they'd fly out, they were getting cut up and torn up immediately. And I would do some more drying in between, so my drybacks were a little more intense. So I never had full saturation in the soil. There was weeks upon weeks that I'd have little bits of droops just because I had to fight this, but I wanted to keep the genetics alive. And I was able to do it it was about 4 weeks, about a month, and I bounced back pretty well. It was just, I had to change up my soil. That's when I went to full cocoa at the time. I wanted something that was completely inert and had no life in there. And I did that for a while, but I realized it's just about sourcing your soil. That's important,
Right, you talk about the winged pest and using diatomaceous earth, and I'm thinking of fungus gnats.
Yeah.
That's one that I've battled so many grows, and I think that's probably one of the more common pests that people face is fungus gnats, because really they thrive in that wet medium, right? So if top medium is moist, which a lot of beginners will make the mistake of overwatering or keeping that top layer moist, and invite pests can be there, and then population just increases and increases, and then you have this huge infestation that you need to battle. It's happened to me a handful of times in the past, a large handful, I should say, because it's so common. And there's one grow in particular where I was in cocoa, and there's some misconception out there. People say, "Oh no, I'm in cocoa, so I have less chances of getting pests. It's an inert medium." So wait, what? No, you can definitely still get
Anywhere
fungus
wet,
gnats in cocoa. Yeah, it was wet. They were thriving. The population was so crazy. The plants were so small still. I was like, you know what? Wipe it out. I'm getting rid of this medium entirely, and then I'm starting fresh. It was that bad at that point. Now, I've had populations that were more manageable under larger plants, more established plants that I wouldn't kill off the plants. In that case, I would treat it. So diatomaceous earth was one. I would really avoid using that in flower, because that stuff's very fine. It can go airy, get up in the buds.
Wear a mask too.
I avoid using that. I've used neem, kind of spraying the top of the medium with neem. Mosquito bits is another one that's used. That's a form of BT. It's really a bacteria that is goes after the larva, I believe. So you water that in, and that's helpful for knocking back the population. But doing things that if you don't want to spend money, you can do drybacks. Like Rob talked about drybacks when he was fighting an infestation. Same thing helps with fungus gnats. If you just have a dry back, putting a fan on top of the medium to kind of blow on them, make it inhospitable, right? It's like make it harder for them to survive on that medium in that environment there. So I'm trying to think of what else I used to do. I mean, a lot of different sprays that you can do. There's so many different solutions to fungus gnats. I'm sure there's going to be a wave of people in the comment section that are going to mention solutions that they did for some of these different pests. So I encourage you guys along the way or at the end of the episode to add in the comment section things that you've battled and how you got through them.
Yeah, it's not easy when you're dealing with different environments. When you're in a dry space, right? So you need to add more moisture in. to keep your plant healthy. So doing that, it's like, man, how do you dial that back without suffocating the plant and then hurting your growth just as much as you would with the pest?
Yeah.
Just as much with the issues you're running into. It's just a thing where without running into these issues, you have no idea. You can read a million books, you can do all these things, but it's very unique to your grow space of how you're going to tackle some of these problems.
UVC is another thing that a lot of people are using for these pests. So it's another
Yeah.
thing. Just want to throw that out there. So
Especially these little flying assholes, man.
yeah.
Yeah, complacency is also kind of like one of those silent killers that kind of leads to all of this, to the point where it's like you kind of take your foot off the pedal. I'll speak for myself. I get a little complacent on my IPM. I'm not spraying as often, being a little more loose in regards to cleanliness around the garden. Then that's going to lead to things. That's going to lead to the trend, the contamination of anything into your tent, whether it's bugs, pests, mold, or whatever. You essentially need to be able to stay consistent and understand that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when these things are going to happen. Because as you just said, you won't fully understand it until you're really in it. But when you're in it, it's not fun. It can be very anxiety driven, very stressful. But with the careful steps, it's like you can bounce back from most of these issues, assuming that it's not happening in flower. Because a lot of, like you said, with the DE, a lot of also the same with like any sprays using neem, or I use
all the solutions we just had.
Really, all of them. Anything that's not pH'd water, really, essentially. And I've heard people using like a room temperature pH water as like a pest
carbonated water even too.
Pest management. So yeah, there's a ton of options, but I just not getting complacent, staying vigilant and diligent will help avoid a lot of these.
This FTS clip was brought to you by AC Infinity, leaders in garden innovation. Use discount code TheStash15 at checkout to save some money on your order.
From the Stash Podcast.